18th of Elul, Yutet Elul, it marks the Hilula of famous Rabbi Rabbi Yeshaya Dayan. Very, very famous rabbi. He was born on the 8th of August in the year 1833, passed away on the 11th of September 1903, so was 70 years of age when he passed away. He was a famous judge, a Dayan. He was obviously a prominent rabbi. He was a Posek, a rabbi that would decide various different Jewish law decisions, and was known as one of the great rabbis of Syria, respectively, Aram Tzova, also known as Aleppo. And let's explore a few of the highlights of the famous rabbi's life. Now, he was born in Aram Tzova. This was, I think, back in the 23rd of Av in the year 1833, and he came from great rabbinic auspices. His father's name was Rab Mordechai Dayan, very, very great rabbi. Now, I think come with the year 1847, I think sadly his father passed away. He was only about 13, 14 years of age at that point in time, and he would go on to live, I think, along with his brother, who was a very prominent rabbi, Rabbi Yedidia Hadayan, and they would learn Torah under auspices of the great Rabbi Mordechai Abadi, who was a very great rabbi. Some have spoken about Abadi, rabbinic dynasty in of itself. He himself, Rabbi Mordechai Abadi, lived between 1826 to 1884. He was also a judge, a Kabbalist. He was a Payatan. He was one of the great rabbis of Syria, let's just say, and would have a windows of time working in Turkey and in the land of Israel, and was, I think, the rabbi of the Kihilat Kilis, if I'm not mistaken, an author of great Piyutim and song books, respectively. So that was his rabbi, so we can see the caliber he came from was absolutely brilliant. There was a brilliance after it. Now, after, I think, his older brother passed away, he would become a judge, a Dayan, in his place, and would answer various different, many reported over in the hundreds of questions with regards to Jewish law. He was coming, I think, when he was 30 years of age, already his first book would come out called Imrei Noam, which is various different answers to questions that he had been asked with regards to the halachic Jewish law realm in of itself. Now, it's interesting, he would go on to also work as a mohel. This is a rabbi that will perform circumcisions or brit milahs all throughout the different areas in Syria, in Artava, and very, very important, let's just say, roles this was in of itself. And much more can be said within regards to him. I think we mentioned him before inside the series on several occasions already, so just showing the brilliance within regards to him. Now, what's interesting, we can add more within regards to Rabbi Yeshaya, because he was obviously a very famous rabbi of his time. Obviously, the Hadayan family was a very famous one. Okay, and I think he would actually make a record of all the different Brit Milahs he did inside a notebook. This would later become known, I think, inside a book format. He'll be able to chronicle all of this later on, which we must point out over here, which would come in the form of a book. הרב דיין שימש כמוהל ברחבי ארם צובא ונהג לרשום את כל הנימולים בפנקס שהתפרסם לימים כספר המילות של ארם צובא. It would be chronicled over in the book of Aram Tzova. All different Brit Milahs he would perform, circumcisions, let's just say, in of itself. So that is very important to show what expert mohel he was. He would, let's say, like, write lineages and branches of families of the city's Jewish population. And I think his book would be actually printed, if I'm not mistaken, just to confirm the location. It says over here. I'll just say what it says in Hebrew. Let's just say, וסייע רבות בהבנת היחסים וענפי המשפחות הקהילה היהודית בעיר. הקים בית הדפוס, he made a, let's just say, a printing house in the city of Livorno in Italy, and some of his books actually get printed over there. Now, I think he passed away in 1903. There was an epidemic at that point in time of the cholera, and I think he was buried at the Ma'arat HaTzadikim, I think next to the Beit Knesset, the great Beit Knesset, Agdol, the large synagogue for the Chalabi community, the Aleppo community, respectively, passed away on Yutet Elul, 1903. We're talking about 122 years ago. Now, let's explore his family a little bit, including his older brother, Rabbi Moshe Dayan, who was also a famous mohel, a rabbi that performed, let's say, Brit Milahs, respectively. Another one, I think his son was Rabbi Yitzchak, another great rabbi, Dayan, and he would continue, let's say, keeping this legacy of great mohelim rabbis that performed circumcision out of those times. Also, he would, I think, chronicle over which Brits he would have done. And I think his son-in-law was another rabbi that was actually recorded about, Rabbi Ezra Abadi Shein, who was a head of a Jewish court in Tsubah, was very, very well liked, if I'm not mistaken. Now, Rabbi Ezra obviously was born in the 1870. He passed away in 1939. He was not just a great rabbi, he was a Posek Halacha. He was head of Jewish court also, and known as one of the great rabbis of that vicinity in itself. And I think Rav Dayan did know him to a specific degree, which is very interesting. We have to just point out also. Now let's explore a few of Rav Dayan's books, famous books, including Imrei Noam, which is a shut, Shelot Shivot, question and answers in Halacha, and Chidushim, various different novelties and teachings from the Gemara, the Talmud. Another book that was written included Ze Katab Yadi. This was also a shut, and various novelties, just say on the code of Jewish law, the Shulchan Aruch respectively. Another one was the Chazon Yeshaya, which was Chidushim and Perushim on the book of the Tanakh, the Torah, Nevi'im, and Ketuvim, respectively. Now, what's interesting is he would go on to have also famous students, if I'm not mistaken, including another famous rabbi I think we've spoken about on various occasions before. His name was Rabbi Salim Zefrani, very great rabbi. We spoke about him. We recorded a video, I think, on him. He was not just a chazan; he was a head of Jewish court. He was going to become, and I think the Rosh Yeshiva, the famous Sephardic Yeshiva Degel HaTorah. I think it's obviously connected to the Syrian community, respectively, which is very, very interesting. And he was obviously a very famous rabbi. Another one of his Talmudim was a famous Rabbi Moshe Tawil, or give him his full title, Rabbi Moshe Tawil Ma'ali HaKohen, who was a rabbi. He happened to have been a Posek, a Rosh Yeshiva also. I think very much connected to the the Gedegel HaTorah Yeshiva, respectively, and one of the famous rabbis of the Chalabi community. That was another one of his students. Another one of his Talmudim was another one of his books is called the Chazon Yeshaya, which is Chidushim, various different teachings and novelties, and various different Mefarshim, Perushim, on the great book of the Tanakh, the Torah, Nevi'im, and Ketuvim, respectively. So that is something we all have to point out. He was a great rabbi of his time, very, very famous, and I think we've spoken about him on various occasions before. We've spoken about the famous Syrian community of Yessia, one of the most famous communities without a doubt of its time. So please, I'll recommend everyone to watch over the previous videos that we recorded here inside this series. Now, friends, I think we are obviously a community here. We're learning about famous rabbis of yesteryear. Now, already we've reached 7,500 subscribers to the channel, which is an absolute phenomenal achievement. I don't think we would have got this achievement. I never thought, maybe even 2 years ago or something. I was feeling something was in air, but how important it is to record and to speak about the great rabbis. Yes, we've written and we've said over biography videos, close to about 1,250, if not plus already, rabbis over here inside this series. So I recommend everyone to watch over the videos that we recorded about the great Chachmim of Yessia. We've spoken about Rabbi Yeshaya Dayan today, who was a very great rabbi that was connected very, very much to, let's just say, the Chalabi community, also being from Tsovah at that point in time. He was very, very much a great rabbi. And remember, at that point in time in Chalab, for example, there was various yeshivot, and there was a flourishing of Torah learning over there, most notably the famous yeshiva, I think, called the Degel HaTorah, which we just mentioned about before, would be an integral part, let's just say, of that community in of itself, with a very, very important role. So I recommend everyone to learn more within regards to that. And we're a community here. Please watch over the previous videos we've recorded. We're making fantastic progress. If you feel anyone also is interested in watching these videos, please share these videos also to other people. That's the best way of helping this amazing community, because we are a community, grow non-stop and go from strength to strength. So wishing you all well. Thank you very much, everyone that you were able to watch, and wishing everyone just blessings here from Israel. So have a great day.